our community participated in a midnight run. The Midnight Run is an organization dedicated to connecting housed and unhoused neighbors in New York. They helped to facilitate a volunteer effort in which members of our community went out late at night to hand out food, clothing, toiletries, and equally important, smiles and dignity to our unhoused neighbors. One of the key components of the Midnight Run is trying to give the homeless men and women dignity. As they say on their website, the human exchange, rather than the exchange of goods, is the essence of the Midnight Run. We are specifically instructed to offer the men and women a choice of which meal they would like, a choice of which clothing they would like. Rather than just handing them a shirt or a pair of shoes, we hold up 2 or 3 and say, do you like one of these? In fact, sometimes it was a treasure hunt. Some of the men would come asking if we had a blue polo shirt, and we would search through our bags, and sometimes we found it and sometimes we didn't. But we're encouraged to take the time to greet them, ask them their names, talk to them, and treat them with the human kindness that they don't always receive. It significantly adds to the time it takes to hand out the needed items, but this extra time is seen as a critical part of the overall goal of Midnight Run. And the goals are more than to just provide the items. Equally important is the goal to humanize the too often faceless homeless people in our community. Those of us who participated left feeling inspired, a little bit tired, but inspired. Each interaction was a mini challenge as we searched for the desired shirt or pair of shoes. When a good one was found, there were genuine smiles from both the giver and the receiver. In those moments, we were able to connect panim al panim, face to face. We were reminded that we have been strangers in a strange land and that it is our obligation to care for those that we can. Years ago, when I was an undergraduate at Brandeis, I read a book in one of my sociology classes about a woman who was studying the homeless population. In order to do so, she herself lived on the street for a short amount of time. In her book, she talks about the difficulties of that experience. While the whole experience was uncomfortable and humbling, she speaks about the most humiliating part of the whole ordeal, and it wasn't begging for food or money, but the simple lack of recognition. When people would walk by her, they would avert their eyes. They would refuse to acknowledge that she even existed. This invisibility, more than the hunger pains or the cold, was the most difficult part of the experience for this young woman. To be rendered invisible is to be told that you don't matter. She said that when people walked by her and smiled or said hello, even if they didn't give her any material goods, she felt better. A few weeks ago, the U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy, falsely claimed, "Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who will never pay taxes, never hold a job, never play baseball, never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it." In other words, he is implying that the lives of children living with autism are worth less than the lives of our other children. This is a Jewishly repugnant statement. Tomorrow we read in Parshat Kiddushim, "You shall be holy because I, Adonai, your God, am holy." This doesn't apply only to the wealthy, housed, and successful people. It applies to all of God's children. Those who look like us and those who don't. Those who speak our language and those who don't. Those whose brains are neuronormative and those whose brains are neurodivergent. Those who pray like us and those whose prayer looks very different than ours. God's command that we see ourselves and others as holy because we are created in God's image, it's comprehensive. We don't get to choose who it applies to. It applies to all of us, all of the time. Over the years, RFK has repeatedly claimed that autism is caused by vaccines, even though scientific study after study has proven that argument to be intentionally misleading and blatantly false. Further, multiple peer-reviewed studies have verified that there is a genetic link to autism. The purported link between autism and vaccines began in 1998 when Dr. Andrew Wakefield, a British gastroenterologist, published a report in The Lancet on 8 children who developed symptoms of autism within 1 month of receiving the MMR vaccine. Over the years, his study was found not only to be medically flawed, but it was also revealed that he had a financial interest in proving the link. By 2010, several large-scale studies had thoroughly debunked the science behind his claim. 10 of the 13 original authors had retracted their statements, and the original publisher, The Lancet, had retracted the article. And in fact, Dr. Wakefield was subsequently stripped of his medical license for professional misconduct. And yet RFK continues to promulgate the lie and to imply that the lives of people with autism are worth less than neuronormative people. Judaism wholeheartedly rejects that statement and that sentiment. While none of our biblical characters are specifically identified as neurodivergent, it is clear that many of them had unique ways of functioning. Moses was slow of speech. Isaac is portrayed as having dim eyes, which many scholars have argued may have implied that he had a lower than average intelligence. But regardless of ability or challenges, the Bible is very clear. Each and every life is worthy of value and blessing. And many of us know this implicitly because we care about, we interact with, and we love people who are living with autism. While RFK claims that these children will never grow up to lead productive lives, we know this too to be false. We know countless examples of people living with autism that have led successful and happy, productive lives. According to the PBS fact checkers, there are at least 2 individuals playing professional baseball in the MLB who have been out about their autistic diagnosis. But we don't need fact checkers to tell us what Judaism has taught us from the very beginning. Each of us are created b'tselem Elohim, worthy of the respect and dignity due to each person, regardless of ability and challenges. Each of us are created b'tselem Elohim, whether we are blessed to live in a comfortable home and have food on our table or not. Each of us are created b'tselem Elohim, whether our brain allows us to easily interact socially or whether social interactions are a struggle. The Bible does not tell us to only care for those whom we know and relate to. It specifically commands us to care for the poor, the widow, and the orphan. In preparing for the Midnight Run, each of our religious school students helped in some way. Our youngest students, our kindergarten, first and second graders, got to help decorate the bags that we put the food in. Our third, fourth, and fifth graders, many of them in the kahal tonight, helped to assemble the toiletry bags and put together the food bags that were then handed out to the men and women. With each of these groups, I spoke to them about why we are helping and why specifically we are helping as Stephen Wise Free Synagogue, a Jewish organization. From our kindergartners to our adults, each of them understood that if we are blessed to live in a comfortable home and have an abundance of food available to us, it is our responsibility to help those less fortunate. With each group I spoke to, we spoke about the need to see each other as a true creation of God, b'tselem Elohim, in God's image, and that each person, whether we know them or not, whether they look like us or think like us or not, are worthy of being treated with dignity and respect. In Mishnah Sanhedrin 4:5, the text asks why Abraham was created alone. And it is said that it was done to maintain the peace among people, because with only one progenitor, no one can claim that their father was greater than someone else's father, because ultimately we all trace our roots to the same man and woman. May we remember this as we interact with people who are different than us. We are no better and we are no lower than our neighbor, our friend, or the stranger we meet on the street. Shabbat Shalom.